everybody, this is Chuck, and as I always say, I really appreciate the fact that you'll spend some time here in my shop. Today we do have some machining that we're going to be showing. Right now I'm sitting in the main shop and you can see the brake shape and roll. I pulled that out, and here's a little Whitney Junior punch, and in my hand 1.5 inch styrofoam or insulation. At the very end of the video I'll show you what I was doing with this. Turns out it's a fail. Well, what's a fail is my attachments that I was making using the hole punch. I was popping all these with them together so they'd line up, and but the actual working of it on the foam presented problems. So I've come up with a new method, I think, and we'll be trying that. But I'll show you that at the end. It's regarding my air compressor, which is outside. The Whitney shear, not Whitney shear, Whitney punch, I should say, is really a nice tool. This is the Junior 5. I've got a setup in here right now. Very simple. Put it in, line up on the set mark, and then push down, and it pops an 1/8 inch hole. It's just a great tool. Keep an eye out for these. They're relatively expensive, but boy, they certainly are handy. Okay, well, hang on 1 second. Well, I hope you hung in there for that 1 second. So here's a Morse Taper 3 and a Morse Taper 2. That's what we're going to be having a video about, making these setups to use with annular cutters. And we'll start off though, just a review of the pallet that I had on the rotary table in my last video. Did some work on it, and we'll start there. Again, thanks for stopping by the channel. I hope you enjoy. It's a longer video than normal. You can always hit fast forward. Honestly, I've cut as much as I could, and I sped up a lot of it. Also, as you know, my lathe is noisy, so be careful with volume sometimes. Thanks again for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy. In my last video, I showed the pallet for the rotary table on the mill, and I was going to do it over there, and I thought about it, and I said, you know, the hold down holes don't have to be super precision. So laid out a pattern, center punched it, and just going to drill it here, and then use the Tapmatic head to tap them all. You might notice there's wood parallels. I have these cut so that I have support on the vise so it won't rock, and we'll get some drilling done here. And I've put a lock on the quill here so the quill won't return all the way, so try to make it as quick as I can punching holes. Okay, you don't need to watch me drill holes, but we'll be back. Okay, that made very quick work of this. Rather than navigating with the XY handles on the drill press. Whoop, I forgot one. Let's go over and get that guy. Okay, so next will be set up the tapping head and tap all these holes. If you guys haven't done this, it's kind of a slick deal. Wood parallels underneath the to use on your vise, same height as your jaws, and for things like this, it's not going to rock around, and you don't really care if you drill into the wood parallels. It's not a big deal. Works great. We'll get it cleaned up, and start tapping. Got some Lumitap here that I put in a cup. Put it on there. Got the unit running pretty fast. Okay, I think I got them all. I made quick work of that. Very, very easy. Take the stop off. If you guys haven't made one of these for your drill presses so that you can control how much the quill returns, it's a regular one for a mill, and you re-tap it for the thread on your drill press, and it works really nice. Nice, and that's much faster than tapping it on the mill. Definitely much faster. Okay, we'll do a little chamfer, very light chamfer. Anyway, there it is. Pallets all drilled for the to go back onto the rotary table. Well, just a quick shot here. Got the pallet back on the rotary table, and I'm going to move on to something else in the shop for the moment, but I need to recenter the rotary table back up under the vertical head, and I'll be doing that shortly. But the pallet turned out nice and ready to move on and do some more work with it. Recently I showed using the roto broaches, or the annular cutters from Vevor, and after using it, I think I showed it in my mill, pretty sure I did, but I purchased a holder, an R8 holder for the mill that holds the annular cutters. It also has the spring piece in there, so to do the ejection also. Works great. Got that for the mill. Well, I wanted something for the drill press and for both of my lathes. My drill press is a Morse Taper 3, and my clossing lathe is a Morse Taper 3, and the Monarch 10EE is a Morse Taper 2. So I was going to machine all this, and I said, well, geez, these aren't that expensive to buy. It's got the tang on it, and if you happen to watch Mr. Pete, I know you do if you watch me, he recently built it, or took a arbor like this, and it didn't have the tang. These have the tang on it, which is great, and so they're undersized compared to the head of the actual holder. The actual holder is 1 inch 456, and these are I forget what these are, but yeah, got it right here. But they're really not big enough. They're down 1 inch 100. This slug is 1 inch 150. So my plan is to go ahead and machine a bore inside of this guy, where this guy plugs into it, press it on, and then drill the center of this out for the annular cutter. And when this is in place, go ahead and put the 2 pins in it to hold it. So truth be told, if you notice, one is nice and shiny and one's been machined. Well, screwed up on this one. My press was too tight and I made a mess, so I had to press it back off, or cut it off actually, and then I cleaned up the OD on this. This is a Morse Taper 2 to Morse Taper 2 extension, and so I can hold that in a 3-jaw chuck or 4-jaw chuck if you wanted to, and machine this, since there's really no way to hold a taper in the chuck. So this is a Morse Taper 2 to Morse Taper 3 adapter, so I can put the Morse Taper 3 into that, hold it in the chuck, and machine this. So I'm going to machine this down to match my air, and then out of this slug I can go ahead and bore it and have one slug part it, and it'll fit both of these. Doesn't really matter what the dimension is on this because there's going to be more than enough meat. So that's the plan, and that way I've got something, or I can use the annular cutters in the drill press or in the lathe also. Just trying to make sure that I have the availability of the tool. So we'll get some clips of this as we move on. So I have the Morse Taper 3 in the adapter, have it in the chuck, and it's running, well, within a thou, which is fine. For an annular cutter that's going to be coming in this way into something into the lathe or the drill press, we're roughing holes. We're not going precision. We're just trying to pop bigger holes. So if this was even off worse, but it's going to be fine the way it is. So I'm going to basically turn this finish down to meet this one so that I have the same parts for making my other piece. Well, I've kind of fooled around with some measuring, and I thought, well, let's make this even easier. I just put the Morse Taper 2 back in. Just going to do a very light pass on it, set my DRO to 0, put the other part in, take it down to 0. No measuring. My lathe is loud. It's a motor generator. Next will be to go ahead and bore out this slug so that it'll cover both of the two parts. Once that's done, then we'll put this on a mandrel and clean up the outside. face off this part. Get a clean face on each side. Okay, both sides are faced off. Now let's get it set up to start drilling. We'll get the hole punched. Once we get the hole punched in there, then we'll get it on a mandrel and clean up the outside. Through at 7/8 on this drill. We're going to go over an inch. The pilot hole was, I can't read it. Pilot hole, I can't read it. It was small, you saw it. Okay, we've got that hole punched out. We'll go up to 1 inch next, and then switch to a boring bar. Okay, we've got the 1 inch hole punched through, and now we can switch over to a boring bar and go for size. So when I measure what I've created here, so 1 inch, 87 thousandths, 87.5. So this is, as a hobbyist, it's practice. So I used a 1 inch drill bit. And so I got 998 thousandths with the 1 inch drill bit. So it actually drilled under. Now that's using these guys. If you haven't seen these, they go up to 1 inch and they slide. and that's how you can measure outside, and they're radiused on both sides. So, as I mentioned, I'm a hobbyist and it's all about practice to try to hit dimensions. So the snap gauge is always a challenge. It's definitely a touch item. Whether you tighten the unit tight enough, how it springs. Let's see what we get here. So I don't think I got a good reading on it. Let's try it again. So there I'm getting 1 inch, 1 thou. And the last time when I screwed everything up, I was getting the same reading off that drill bit. Try it again. Yeah, I don't like how that guy went all the way in there. Try it again. See if we get the same reading again. Yep. 1 inch, 100,000. 1 inch, 1 thou. Just for the giggles of it. And this reads under 997. I'll go with the snap gauge. Just for the fun of it, I tried these again, and there's 2 of the F size, so I flipped F sizes just out of curiosity. And let's try a reading here and see what we get. Well, it's moving. And I'm not sticking them in as far as I was previously. Three thou over 1 inch, which is closer to the snap gauge, which was 1 thou over. Yeah, 2.7. So yeah, they work for a close read. I think I'll still trust the snap gauge. I don't have a 1 inch pin. I'll have to look and see if I have that, just out of curiosity. I've showed these in the past. I actually had to make one of the units myself. Tom gave this to me as a present, my good buddy Ox tool. But hey, they're nice for a quick measurement, definitely. So I do have a Deltronic pin, and I doubt that you can see it, but it's marked 25.400 millimeters, which is 1 inch. And just slides in with narrowly a movement. So I think my snap gauge reading of 1 thou right now is right on the money. So we'll stick with the snap gauges. Well, we know we got to take out almost 90 thousandths. So we'll do a first bore pass and get a snap gauge reading on it again and continue on. More noise. Oh, got to have the phase converter on. Okay, let's take a reading on that bore with the snap gauge and see where we're at. Set my DRO to 0. Yeah, 0. So DRO is set to 0, and I'll be right back. So we'll check it again, but I've got almost 4 thousandths over 1 inch from my cleanup pass there. So that's what we'll put in the DRO, and we'll start making some passes. 1 point. And let's see where we're at. So I checked the snap gauge versus what I had in my DRO, and it was within 1/10 or so. So what I've done is I've got another 2-inch mic, and I went ahead and zeroed it on the arbor that I'm chasing, and now it tells me how much I've got to take off. So still have another 70 thousandths to take off of it. So we'll continue on and bring you back. Okay, we'll see. That should have been the last pass, and I should have about a 1/2 thou fit, press fit. I guess the first test, the first test, Charlie, this better not slide in. Okay, it don't go in, so that's good. We haven't blown it that way yet. Yeah, getting about the same. That's 5/10 that time. We'll live with that. I think we're good. So next thing to do, I'm going to put a chamfer edge on here and a chamfer edge on the other side, and then set it up on a mandrel. Okay, so we have the unit board to size, hopefully, and now I've got it on an expanding mandrel, and I'm just going to clean up the outside and put a couple of nice little bevels on each end just for cleanup. Close enough, 10th out. Let's see. Now I gotta bevel both ends to clean those up. And then we'll take it off of the arbor. The mandrel, I should say. And then put it back in the chuck and part it so that I can mount it on each tool. Yep, more noise. Tool is not cutting nice. It's my Tom Lipton replica. Okay, get it off the mandrel, and then we'll split it in two, part it off. Okay, I heard you guys. So I got a little bit of shine on it now. Couldn't leave it like that. Okay, now we'll take it apart. Okay, now that the bore's complete, the outside's cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and part them off. Okay, two parts are ready to go on the unit. I gotta deburr that guy, but we'll get it ready to get him on the two Morse Taper shanks. Well, guess what? I forgot to turn the camera on. Got too involved in getting these on there, so I put them on the hot plate. As you can see, it got hot, got blue, and both of them are on, and they're cooling off right now. Now we'll move on to the next step. Okay, got the sleeve over it, so put it back in the lathe now. I'm going to face it, just to get a nice face on it. And then we need to punch a 3/4 inch hole, 900 thou deep. Yep, 900 thou deep. I'll turn on the phase converter and we'll make some noise. Well, I'm thinking about two ways to do this. One way is, of course, with a boring bar. The other way is with 3/4 end mill. And just punch the 900 deep that I need. One's quicker than the other. Let me think about this one. Okay, I tried to take the easy path. I mic'd an end mill. It said 749. So I thought, well, maybe I can go in with an end mill and do it. So I went in a little bit, checked it with a 750 pin, and it's loose. So I just used the boring bar to clean it up, and we're at 692 on the pin here. So I have my DRO set at that, and now we'll start working towards 750. Tried to cheat, and that didn't work. But we're okay. Well, just finished the second one, and see it pumps out 750 right on the nut. Come on, give it back to me. So 750 gauge pin. All right, on to the next step. Oh, I got to face the front of this off. We'll do that off camera because my battery's going again. Well, I've got the parts set up in the mill, and it's time to put in the two set screws that are 90 degrees apart. So I've already found with the edge finder, I got the front of the vise here 0, and I've already got center. We'll go ahead and drill and tap that, and then put a 3/4 inch rod in to the hole, get the rose index lined up on it, and then we will turn it 90 degrees and drill and tap the next hole. Then do the same thing. The outside diameters are the same, so it'll just be a repeat on that. Okay, so here comes some noise. Device is locked. A little sanity check. Looks good. .5/16 tap drill. Tap magic on it, and we will slow it down. Truck up. Spinning in my collet. One more time. Made a mistake. Made a mistake. I should have put the set screw in, keep it there. Let me fix it. Charlie! Okay, we got that fixed. It was real simple, just run the tap back down in the thread by hand. Get the vise back locked down. Got the rose index now on it, tightened, and it's square. Now I can loosen the vise, spin the part. See, maybe we'll spin it the other way. Doesn't matter. I want it flush with the front of the vise. Big old heavy bar ain't helping me. And there we go, 90 degrees. And almost flush. Good enough. We'll tighten up and we're good to go. Don't need to watch this, it's just a repeat of the same. Okay, who noticed it? Anybody notice it? Did you start typing? Charlie's here. Yeah, I rotated it 90 degrees. I got it nice. I can't get the set screw to get the rod out. But I solved it. Just ran my spotting point in deep enough so that I can come back in and re-spot on it again, and I'll be fine. So I'll break it down and take care of it. But well, it's 7 o'clock at night. Been a long day. Okay, the Morse Taper 2 is done, and now I just got to put the Morse Taper 3 in. But fits nice. Got the set screws 90 degrees apart and ready to use. Get the number 3 done now. Well, if you stuck to the end of the video, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. This will be an upcoming, maybe a shorty on this. I moved my air compressor outside and I wanted to put a shed around it. I got this idea from Dean, the Air Cave Shop, and using the insulation board and making a little room that can just slide in and slide out. Very, very quick to remove it. Actually, much more inexpensive than building a shed, and it'll insulate the compressor from sitting out here on the south side of the house, or the shop where there's sun. You can see I had one of the brackets up there started with that, and it was just problematic, so I think I have a new idea. Anyway, you may see this again, but thanks for stopping by the channel.